Ready to do it?
Mm-hmm.
Ready to do this, Noel?
Oh, got cookies in my mouth, but you gotta do the intro, right?
Yeah. Welcome to the Movie Babies. I'm Devin.
I'm Sean.
And
No,
this-
you gotta talk now. With your mouth full.
It's cookies in the mouth.
Oh, I'm professional.
Ooh, I roll. Well, we're off to a great start. It's not a regular episode. It's the special college years episode where we review not a trailer, but a full-length movie.
But we did review this trailer before.
Yes, let me look at my notes.
It's Mortal Engines. You don't have to look that up. We reviewed Mortal Engines a couple episodes back.
Episode 46, Noel was our guest.
Yep.
He's back. We saw the movie opening night, I believe. Close to it.
Close to it. It was pretty dead.
Yeah, not a lot of people.
Yeah.
And we'll discuss that. But yeah, we reviewed the Equalizer 2 and Mortal Engines.
Yep.
Noel, you're back. We saw the film.
We're back because we're in Noel's happy space. Yeah.
Give a quick rundown on the happy place.
Well, so it's pretty much a place that you can go, and you know, if you have work to do, you could do that there. Or if you don't want to do your work and you need to get away from it, you can come here because it's not so much of a professional office as a semi-professional office. So people who have a job where they, you know, don't necessarily have to go to a place if they're just doing it online, or if they're working for themselves, you know, they might be going to coffee shops and spending a lot of money on fancy coffees and dealing with the judgment of the other people in there if they're sitting at their table too long or what have you. The Happy Place was sort of conceived as an alternative. It's a new hip thing called co-working, and we're not doing it very seriously. So you can come on down here and just like see what it's like if that's of any interest. And you know, don't come unless you're serious about it, is what I would say.
Damn.
No, I don't know what was more confusing. The script for Mortal Engines or your description of what the happy
It's a
place
sales
is.
pitch that's like, please don't come here if you're trying to go for the professional vibes.
Yeah. It's like-
Semi-professional only.
So my understanding was it was like creative space, but you could do regular work here
And
too.
yeah, it's sort of tailored towards creative people because the uptight aspect of many offices stifles the creativity.
It's like the schools where
Sounds like detention. Like you can come and you can do your work, or you can just walk off.
yeah,
Okay.
they have the bouncy
you
chairs.
can take a nap in your chair. It's fine.
And it's located downtown Bellingham. They have a website.
Happy-place.co.
Hell
There it
yeah.
is. But that's not what we're discussing today. Today we're discussing Mortal Engines.
Mortal Engines.
Mortal Engines, based off of 4 novels by Philip Reeves. Peter Jackson writes this. Director is Christian Rivers, first-time director.
Yeah, it seems that way.
He won an Academy Award for Best Visual Effects on King Kong, and now they gave him a movie. How did he do? Let's get to it.
When does Peter Jackson's catering service get to direct their own movie? What beloved franchise are they going to inherit?
Yeah. Well, and Peter Jackson's been sitting on this movie since 2009.
Interesting. Oh, so when did the books come out? Let's kind of get our timelines.
All right. So the Mortal Engines, the Quartet of the Mortal Engines, or the Hungry City Chronicles, is Mortal Engines, which came out in 2001.
Okay.
The sequels, Predator's Gold, 2003, Infernal Devices, 2005, and A Darkling Plane, 2006.
So these are all kind of 9/11 inspired.
Oh, yeah.
You could say. This time the cities fight back.
Yeah.
And then it took him that long to figure out that YA was hot for Hollywood until it wasn't anymore to actually make.
And then he just dumped it to his visual effects guy.
You do this. I got the rights. I don't want to do it. I meant to watch an interview of him and the cast that IMDb was making me, suggesting that I watch, just to see what his, like, his serotonin levels were about the whole thing. I didn't do it. I'm
Peter
really
Jackson
curious.
or the author?
Yeah, Peter Jackson.
Yeah.
I hear the author was like thumbs up.
He's into it. He said they did a fantastic job and it had the perfect pace and genuine emotional core.
Oh.
There are some changes, but it's fundamentally the same thing.
Okay, I'll preface this by saying I'm not sure, but to me that sounds like a guy who got paid a lot of money and then had to wait 9 years anticipating whether or not his idea was even going to make it to the big screen. And now he wants more people to buy the books because they're going to be better, probably. But
Yeah.
if he says the movie sucked, then,
Well,
Fucking himself.
yeah.
you know that guy too when he wrote the books in 2001 was like, I want to make a movie out of this.
Yeah. Yeah, bizarre. So, yeah, it just seems like pretty late to the party on this, and that those types of children's book or teen books to screen adaptations, the teen to screen, if you will, was kind of over. It was
Well,
canceled.
The general public is on your side, Sean, because this movie bombed.
Damn.
Yeah.
It grossed over 56 million with a budget of 100 million and losses for the studio being as much as 150 million. Did not do well.
Yeah, it's a real bummer because you want at one point you kind of want to be like, well, I haven't heard of that. It's somewhat new material or new property kind of hitting the screen rather than like it's Deadpool or whatever.
Right.
So you kind of want to champion the like, oh, cool, the weird big budget tentpole thing.
There's not a lot of Predator City movies out there.
No.
But
Except for that,
A lot of Predator movies.
Yeah, a lot of Predator movies. I think we talked about this last time. Except for that Monty Python sketch.
oh yeah, still didn't look that up.
The ship cities, the pirate. What is it called? The Crimson. So it's a segment in the Meaning of Life, and it's basically like this big conglomerate corporation building gets pirated by this kind of old man brigade of accountant pirates, and they like use filing cabinets as like cannonballs and like receipt pikes as like stabbing weapons, and I like the idea as like corporations as these mobile attack technodromes. And I guess that's what countries are, cities are, whatever. Like it works analogously, but like I kind of feel like this movie was like somebody watched that and they're like, oh, we should just make a movie of that.
Yeah, but let's take out all the interesting things.
They kind of did gut the like social commentary aspect pretty quickly because they abandoned that whole metaphor of like the roving cities so fast. I guess that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
How when we reviewed the trailer, we were like, oh man, it's just Fury Road. It's just those cities driving around.
There's one scene in this movie where that happens.
Yep.
It's the opening 5 minutes.
Scene. And I will say this, it's the best scene of the movie.
As far as coming in with an expectation, yes, you're met with like, oh, this is what I signed up for. It's Mario Kart with cities, cool. And then when that stops happening, and then 45 minutes of that not happening,
Yeah.
and then the full other 85 minutes of it not happening, you're like, oh, I was missold this product.
Well, and you kind of see where the director shines in his visual effects, because I think the visual effects for that opening are pretty great too, with the cities, the scales of the big city London chasing after some smaller cities. The cities like collapse into each other and like fold and twist.
Yeah,
and so like people are like falling off getting like flung off the city and like getting smushed into like the mechanics of the city folding into each other. And so it's pretty like exciting.
Yeah, there's a chase scene that runs through it while it's happening. You know, that was, you're like, you see the city get pulled in, and then all of a sudden people are running through the city that's being ingested and digested by the Predator City, and it's visually spectacular.
And if there was just more of that, at least I would have I don't feel like I would have been bored.
Yeah. Yeah, as soon as it became airships and like, I mean, you're sold on this whole concept of like, okay, they call it in the movie, what is it called? It's a municipal Darwinism.
Yes.
This roving city.
Darwinism.
Do you want to explain to us what municipal Darwinism
So
is?
in nature,
Yeah.
there are different municipalities, and over time, the ones that are better at driving around the landscape and eating the other cities are the ones that are ultimately going to survive the course of history. If you're a municipality and you're not driving around and eating other municipalities, then you're just going to go the way of the dodo.
Yeah, it's a hungry hippos kind of
Yeah.
economy. Yeah. So that is kind of potent with the most kind of like awe and wonder when you see the trailer. You're like, well, that's interesting. Like, okay, so they mechanize these cities. They're movable. So, and then they've got to guzzle up these resources. Like, oh yeah, that's kind of like really wasteful, and that's kind of like a lot of modern life. So like, wonder what they're gonna have to like say about this. But it's not that movie because you got to remember it's a tween movie. So their whole prerogative is to tell this like blossoming coming of age story that they kind of fumble and don't really unravel very interestingly, of these two kids. One wants revenge and one wants to just like figure out how the world works, and then for some inexplicable reason they fall in love.
Oof.
And all those things stumble and trip over each other, and you don't know what Mortal Engines' actual conceit is. You're just like, oh. And then it just inexplicably becomes Star Wars at one point.
It's so Star Wars. We will put a pin on that
We'll get there.
because we will get there. So one of the questions in our original reviews was A, what do we think the 60-minute war is? And B, what do we think cities eating each other means? Which one do you want to tackle?
Okay, so the 60-minute war, as far as we get in the opening narration, is exactly what we get in the trailer. They're just like,
It took 60 minutes for the world to come to an end. There's not a whole lot. They show some purple explosions.
which are electrical explosions.
Some kind of...
They're not nuclear because
Right.
the city or the world still has vegetation and shit. Like they haven't like nuked the world,
Right.
but there's like technological meltdown and like there's some reason why they have to rove around.
I'm trying to look up what the film explanation was
It was
because I have the book version.
They didn't really explain it.
Yeah, it was something to do with some sort of technological
Detonation or something.
detonation or some sort of
It was purple, though.
But here's the first difference between the book and the movie. In the book, what causes the 60-minute war is massive geological upheaval. Earthquakes, volcanoes, and all these things happen at once, I guess.
It's an act of God
So
situation.
it's kind of an act of God, which kind of destroys all of North America. So that's the dead zone.
That's why New York City isn't just chomping London.
Yeah, so all
Okay.
North America's gone. London has survived. The municipal Taoism has spread across the world except for Asia and parts of Africa. So we kind of see that as a twist in this movie because that was not in the trailer.
And so you're kind of sold into this world where that's how it operates. Is it's just everybody has mobilized, and it's Fury Road. But we find out pretty quickly after that scene that there's these anti-traction factions.
Anti-tractionists.
Yeah, anti-tractionists
Yes.
who are just no, we're not gonna drive around.
We're going to stay put.
Yeah, and it's there's a lot of them. And there's a bunch of them behind this wall. And there's a bunch of them in the air. And you're like, this isn't a traveling city movie. This is just a couple knuckleheads are driving in a city like idiots. And everybody else is no, we're not going to do that.
You don't have to do that.
There's a couple of those little house cars or little compound cars.
Yeah.
There was the one that was a caterpillar.
Yeah.
That they get in one time and it blends into the ground.
It kind of
So
burrows a
avoids-
little bit.
Yeah.
Which you called in the trailer episode where you said, "Wouldn't it be cool if there was like tunneling cities?"
Tunneling cities.
There was.
There was like a weird caterpillar.
It wasn't as cool as I was thinking it would be.
Yeah. It was just a big disappointment to know that like there wasn't like a Leeds and Sheffield and like, you know, other little cities like driving around too. It was just pretty much London and this weird like Bavarian mining town that they immediately eat.
They had to ditch the salt, right? They're like, get rid of the salt!
It's too heavy!
Throw the salt overboard! It didn't help. Didn't help.
Yeah, it was weird. And I think they were just trying to express like how ridiculous and wasteful powering these machines were, because they're like the infighting between the mayor of the city, the like Lord Curmudgeon or whatever, and then our main villain, Hugo Weaving, I can't remember his name. Valentine is like this kind of like, well, we gotta just keep on keeping on. Just eat a city, collect its resources, but those resources aren't gonna last forever. We know, but we're not gonna last forever either, so it doesn't matter. And it's like, okay. You're expending a lot of effort on this thing that's like very unsustainable. Everybody seems to know it, but the townspeople, every time they cut to like public opinion, it's just shots of people like American Gladiators. They're just like, yeah, we
eat that city.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous. So the
What's funny
politics
though
of it
is that it's not like a massacre. Like they show this little scene where the people are being integrated into London. You know, like the people who got pulled in on this city that's being devoured are like, here's your new home. These are the rules.
Yeah,
and
kind of like a border crossing kind of.
Well, they don't even seem bum about it. It's like the people.
Finally, we're in a better city.
Yeah, it seems like they're all okay with it, which is like, maybe you should have just done that in the first place.
Right. And they're like, children might be separated from their parents or whatever.
Oh, that's right.
It's like, okay, a little Trump thing, but then the guy's like, no, everybody's gonna get food, everybody's gonna be cool. It's like, oh, this is like Ellis Island. Everybody's just kind of like, welcome in, and here's your
which is also
starter kit and the fruit roll up.
Which is also strange because you think if we're presenting London as kind of like more of the villains, then you think the people they take on would be like slaves or like, be doing the dirty work or something.
But it's just more mouths to feed.
Yeah, which
just take on more people.
Which is that's such a bad plot point.
And then they junk all their tech. So this is the thing that I don't really understand.
How do they eat each other? Yeah. Let's get into that.
Okay. So they're ransacking each other for resources. So I guess like the salt or whatever was important. But then they take on all these people, which I guess is a workforce. But then they're like, because there's no technology, which doesn't make sense because they're all running technology constantly throughout the movie. Mm-hmm. They're like going through these scrap heaps, and there's like our main dipshit dude is like the historian Tom, who's like collecting little nuggets for a museum. Toasters and shit. For old tech.
Minions.
The minions. The like weird like god
It's not even
heads.
tech. Like what the fuck is that?
They're just weird culture things and like whatever, and it's not really explained like what their purpose is other than just like remember when, like weird nostalgia haul. But it doesn't, it's like, then they like grind it up and fuel the reactor with this thing? Do you know?
It's just a big blender. It's like a big blender of all the stuff in the city, and they don't seem to care about keeping the like tech because our main character Tom has to like run there before they destroy it all. So they don't even seem that interested in like, let's take the city and get all the important valuables. It's just like, no, we're just gonna put it in this blender and like get like a couple drops of oil or something.
No.
It's still unclear
quite
like what the eating process actually involves.
They had the word ingestion in there, and so it's suspension of disbelief.
Why even like use that imagery?
They ingested it.
Just say that like
course.
the city's like destroys the other city and then like rummages through and steals their tech and resources.
The
Like,
way that it gets chewed up, there's just no chance that
It's like
that stuff
giant-
is getting saved.
it's just giant teeth too.
Yeah,
like-
it's weird, and you think like, okay, so there's commentary there. They're like intentionally highlighting how wasteful of a process this is. But no, that's not really the intention of the movie. They don't really slant it that way. It's just kind of like this accepted, like, no, that's what they're hoarding is this like power to consume, and it's like that's really vapid. Like,
Yeah.
what else you got for me? And they got a lot more because. Instead of developing that interesting idea, they then just beeline to a Terminator shows up.
Robot zombie.
Should we talk about the robot zombie?
It's written on the board. We should probably talk about it.
Okay, well, one thing I will say about the robot zombie, not shown in the trailer.
Never.
A complete surprise that there's a robot zombie in this movie.
But it's in the book, right?
The way
It's in the book.
that he appeared, if I'm not mistaken, is we don't know what's happening.
No.
We're looking out at the water, right? And this thing just climbs up out of the water.
Hard cut.
And then just goes, "Rah!" and screams. And we were all just like, what?
I wish it was that cool because that actually is more compelling. But there was a tiny bit of groundwork prior to that.
Okay.
So right before that happens, Hugo Weaving, who has just thrown out our hero and villain, which we haven't even talked, or our two hero kids, which we haven't really talked about because they're so dumb and not noteworthy. But they're left for dead. But they're caught on drone that they're still alive. And then he's like talks to Digits, his like tech gal, and is like, she's like, there's this workforce of resurrected, unkillable machines, aka Terminators, who one of which is housed in this super jail out in the middle of the ocean.
Super jail.
And this particular one has a big crush on Hester,
Yeah.
our main chick. So
We
they're like,
have a crush on her."
unleash this Terminator so he can find them because apparently he's got like some miracle ability to like track her. And remember he's like screaming her name.
Yeah.
Hester!
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like so ridiculous. And then they like torpedo his cell. And then he bursts out, and that's when he comes out of the.
Did I fall asleep?
You might have.
You might have.
We were in shifts on this
Okay.
movie.
No,
I
go on.
remember when he comes out of the water and he's screaming her name, and I just remember my thought process at that moment was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Or, what is happening here?
It's a hard like 180 turn.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden we have the Terminator in this movie without not much build up. There is some differences between the book version and the film version on that character.
Let's hear it. His
So-
name is Strike.
Strike. You pronounce that word for me.
Shrike.
Shrike. Shrek.
Yeah.
Let's just call him
Okay.
Shrek.
Yeah.
So Shrek in the movie, his backstory is he raises Hester and makes little girl Hester promise him that he can turn him into a mindless machine like him. Like, let me take your memories away, Hester. Become a machine like me. Young Hester promises this. I guess she's old now. Old Hester promises this, then finds out London is nearby and Valentine is on there, the person who murdered her family and gave her the scar.
We saw it in the trailer.
So she's like, runs away, and this enrages Shrek
Yeah.
to the point where now he's like, you broke your promise. I need to murder you.
Well, we don't know what his intentions are. They
Well,
keep
maybe
that
to
kind
turn
of
it,
dark.
maybe
Yeah.
turn back.
She
turn
has
you
to
into
get
the thing.
killed in order to be turned into the thing, right?
Yeah, that's true. So he wants to murder her to turn her into the thing, to make her keep the promise. In the book, it's the same thing where Shrek raises Hester, but then she runs away, I believe, and then the Lord Mayor of London, who is Chrome, who is the guy who's above Valentine
Right.
in the movie.
It's like the Emperor.
The Emperor, yes. He convinces him, Shrek, that he's going to make more stalkers, more of his kind
Oh,
for
an
London.
army. Okay.
Yeah, and
And that's appealing for some reason?
Yeah, because then Shrek is like, I'm going to go find Hester to turn her into this machine.
Okay.
So that's why he's chasing her in that one, is that he's like, you ran away, but don't worry, we can make more of us, because
We'll be a family.
the family. So he's like chasing after her, and then he meets her, and like where he dies on the airplane, I guess.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, do you want to be a machine with us? The Emperor promised he'd make us machines. And she's like, yeah, that sounds good. And so she says that, and then Tom kills Shrek before it can happen.
Oh, okay. Because he's like, don't take her away from me.
I guess. This is the
fraught with
Wikipedia.
all kinds of weird anti-feminist propaganda.
Okay, so yeah, that's problematic. Let's just skip to this.
Okay.
The Tom character and this Hester character, if we believe what I read in Wikipedia to be true, that he kills the robot after Hester said, yes, I want to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
At the end of this movie, Hester decides to forgive Valentine and let him live.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
Forgive him for
murder.
killing her mother.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, like, she has a chance to kill him, and then she's like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm better than that.
Yeah.
But then fucking Tom goes ahead and kills him, knocking him down, and, like, he gets smushed under the city.
Right, but he lives? No, he crashes the plane and he gets run over.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's just another moment of, like,
You
Hester...
just undercut your hero.
Yeah, decides, like, you know what? No, I'm going to be the bigger woman and not kill him. And then fucking Tom's like, no, I know better. This guy needs to die.
So, I'm really curious how this plays in the book and garnered any public support as a franchise, because from the movie, from like our little Oculus into that universe for the movie offers is... From the jump, from the trailer, you're like, oh, she's a supreme badass. She's like been on this revenge mission probably her whole young adult life.
Yes.
Like probably had to survive in this nuclear wasteland. Well, psych, it's the normal.
She's Mad Max. Like,
she's Mad Max.
Yeah.
She's like all bundled up. Like I think I read something about like in the book she's like even missing her nose and an eye, and she's like very scarified.
Very controversial.
Yeah, and so you think like, oh, she's just gonna be like this extremely self-motivated, capable character that's gonna be pretty exciting to watch unfold. Like, do I commit revenge or not? Like, that's gonna be the thing. And then she constantly just gets the ball taken from her, from like Tom's just hapless decision making that like usurps anything that she decides, to the like rockabilly haircut gal Fang, who's like, no, I'm the supreme badass of the movie. Look at my long red coat. You just have a scarf that's red. I have a long red coat.
It's
I'm
true,
totally
yeah.
the bad guy, or the cool one in this movie. And so you're like, oh, is she the supreme badass? Is she the Terminator in this movie? Oh wait, there's another Terminator in this movie? Like, it's so convoluted, and it's like, all it does is just like turn her into like a Bella from Twilight, where she's just like, this or this? I don't know. I'll let the men decide. Like, it's so dumb.
It's really problematic. And also, like, so the other female lead in this, Catherine Valentine, which is the daughter of Hugo Weaving, also this gets her story gutted from the book. So now she's just kind of doing this weird side mission where she's with the engineer guy that she meets, and they're trying to like figure out what her dad's doing. But it's like such a mindless
side
adventure.
Yeah, because they're like, they think like, oh, there's some conspiracy about the the, what is it called? It's the famous like church or whatever that.
Oh, the
St. Peter's
Yeah.
Home for Wayward Girls, like that there's some type of like, what's he building in there kind of thing, which
up
is,
at the top of the city.
Okay, it's in the top of the city, and it's like that's where they're building this Medusa technodrome weapon. But we already know that that's what's going on. So their side quest is like completely unnecessary.
Yeah, so boring to watch.
And all it does is result in her being like, I'm suspicious of my father. Oh, my father's doing bad stuff? He's not my father anymore. She's just like straight up disowns him with no like allegiance of bloodline or anything like of any kind. I know that's kind of hack too, but like of any interest, she just like turncoats immediately. She's like, oh, my dad's a bad guy. We need to stop him. Like, okay, you're just like a character that doesn't need to be here.
Another difference from book to film. In the book, she dies.
Whoa.
In the book.
Doing what?
So in the book,
Is her dad killed?
Dies of boredom.
she's doing a little more like investigating, and then at the end, let's see. Forget how she dies. It's basically she self-sacrifices herself, where her dad ends up accidentally killing her, and she falls onto the Death Star weapon, basically breaking it.
Oh,
and that
vaporized.
And that's what saves the day. And in this one, she does nothing.
Yeah.
She survives, I guess, but
Yeah.
nothing she did was of note.
No, I mean, I guess she was somewhat a part of, like, she was on the comm with Tom at the end being like, she was like, she was like, light up the eyes, boys. Like, she was the one who was like letting him know how to, like, what the weakness of the Medusa
right.
eye was, which also made no sense because it was like, how did you know who you were talking to on the radio? It just, I don't know, so bizarre.
Noel, what do you got? What do you want to dive into?
Well, I would say that there are too many things, but I don't want to not address the eBay joke because that was one of the moments at which I was like, okay,
A lot of topical
this
references.
there's clearly too many people trying to control the direction of this movie.
Yeah, so
Or something.
set the stage for this.
So they are heroes. The Tom and Hester are kidnapped, or they take refuge in a caterpillar city that then turns out to be a kidnapping organization that tricked them into sleeping in the bunk that locks from the outside, and then they find themselves at a slave auction where they're in this row of people that are being sold to different bidders that
Southies.
look kind of like they look like Mad Max characters.
Yeah.
And this is when we meet, was it Fang?
Yeah.
Yes.
And she shows up in the middle. I think was it Hester on the block?
Yes.
Yes.
And she shows up and she starts bidding on Hester, but then it devolves into a little bit of a skirmish or something. And she says like, "Well, I'll have to do this auction. Buy it now." Something. What did she say?
Yeah,
Something like that.
Yeah,
She's
yeah,
like,
yeah. Okay, so
That's her big hero line.
so in a society where it's been hundreds of years since there was an eBay,
They don't even know what a minion is.
they don't know. They think minions are our gods. They're super removed from technology. Nowhere in their vernacular would be this concept of buy it now or Netflix and chill or anything like that. But our supreme badass waltzes in, and her like Terminator one-liner to the cannibal who she's co-bidding against for the purchase of this child is, how about I just buy it now? How about that? And like blows the dude's head off. and like kind of winks at the camera, like total an acknowledgement that was an eBay joke in a universe where you shouldn't know about eBay.
Yeah. Here's another one. Noel, do you remember the Twinkie scene?
Twinkies.
Oh,
It's when Tom and Hester are first like kicked out of London and they're like trying to survive the desert.
Oh yes, they make a joke about how this food never goes bad, or like it's
Right.
What was it?
you may remember this joke as told by the film Zombieland.
Yeah.
Yes.
Much more efficiently.
In Zombieland too, it's such a like crucial part.
Yeah, it's
like
Part of his character motivation is like finding these Twinkies, and they're always not where he expects them to be.
Yeah, it's the ho-hos in the Twinkie truck,
Ding
right?
dongs,
Yeah,
I
ding
forgot
dongs.
about that. The fact that this movie's like stepping on territory that's already.
It's already a tired joke in Zombieland because you're like, yeah, Twinkies, punch up, I guess. Like, well,
Yeah,
of
yeah.
course, yeah, it's garbage food. Like, we're
But
not defending that.
like at least what's his name? Woody Harrelson's like charismatic enough where he kind of makes it
He
work.
sells it, yeah.
Yeah.
And so you love it, and it's a running gag, and it works really well. And in this movie, as soon as they pull out a Twinkie, you're like, I remember this scene from Zombieland. And then when they go on to be like, yeah, these things have lasted for 200 years, they taste great.
It's
Like,
such a long scene. You see him like slowly opening the plastic. You see him like commercial, like close up, stuffing it down his throat. He's licking his fingers. It's like move on, movie.
and they kind of wink at the camera too. They're like, "Look, we're making fun of Twinkies because they're like the cockroach of food." It's like, yeah, we know. They tried to cancel Twinkies and they couldn't because
even the
Hostess
creators,
was like, yeah, we should.
even the creators of Twinkies were like, "We created a monster.
Yeah.
We gotta pull the plug."
Couldn't
and
kill it.
They couldn't kill it.
Yeah, just very bizarre pop culture, unnecessary pop culture humor in a humorless, anti-pop culture atmosphere. Like, there wasn't a lot of jokes in this movie. And then when they tried to take a stab at a joke, they were like, it's a Minions joke. And you're like, well, hold on. That's very specific.
It's disappointing. So the main character, Tom, I recognized from a British show called Misfits.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
And he's like surprisingly funny in that show. He's kind of just like a gross teenager.
Yeah.
And he's really like crude, but he's charismatic enough where you still end up liking him. And typically I hate characters like that, but I really enjoyed him in that show. So when I saw him as the lead, I'm like, okay, this has hopes because he's pretty charming. Zero charm in this movie. I don't know if that's the way he was directed, the way he was written, because I know the guy has chops to pull off
Yeah.
kind of a role like that.
Everybody was very underwhelming, and there was just no chemistry of any kind
No.
between the romance or the villain-hero relationship, and everyone's kind of like separated through a lot of the movie too, so there's just not a lot of
Too many side plots.
there's not a lot of opportunity for like ensemble scenes for people to relate. There's just a lot of like, you go that way, I'll go this way. Okay, see you in 5. Like, there's not much to go off of. The runtime of this was really long for the amount of stuff that actually gets done. Too.
Yeah.
Wasn't it like 2:12 or something?
You know, it's like
Long enough for me to like doze off a little
You
bit.
fell asleep a little bit.
2 hours and 8 minutes.
Yeah. Unnecessary.
This is the 2 hour and 8 minute war that destroyed us all. All right, here I wrote down some topics. Maybe we can pick one. Star Wars. Differences from the book and movie. I wrote down summaries of every book and what happens in it. And also, I have a topic called hack writing.
Hack writing.
Well, I'm inspired by the latter. I'll take hack writing for 500.
Yeah. Well, we touched upon the love story, which just does not work.
It's basically like in one sentence, like, oh, we're a couple now.
They tried to make it work by Tom continuing to like save or sacrifice himself to kind of help Hester. But and that's kind of what wins her over. But
Yeah, they're trying to do the thing where it's like her main motivation is revenge, but will he melt her heart with his like haplessness? And yeah, I guess he somehow manages to, because by the time the Terminator's like, I'm gonna kill this guy, and she's like, please don't do that, and he's like, oh, you love him? This is the love of your life? And she's like, Yep. And then that's it. They're like destined to be together.
But the vice versa was funny too, where the guy wanted to kill the robot. She was like, "No,
Yeah.
don't kill him. He's like my father." And then they just kill him.
I kind of like Sean's twist where they're in a love relationship.
With the robot,
robot?
and Hester.
Hester and the robot maybe
That's
have
more
like
fascinating.
kind of like a will they won't they.
I mean, I guess from his perspective, that's what it was, because he was like, I'll turn you into an automaton like me, and then we'll be together.
Yeah, because then it's not taboo.
But it's
We're not.
pretty rapey anyway.
He's not Jude Law in AI, you know. He's no suave
Yeah.
sex robot
Sex bot.
dude. No.
Yeah, he's literally like the boyfriend outside your window, just like, take me back!
Hester
with you, I know it.
Hester.
Yeah.
It's so terrifying. But then it's like, okay, so he exhibits that behavior the whole time, but then he gets rewarded for being like, oh, but he was sweet. He wanted to kidnap and turn her into a robot. That's sweet.
Which brings me to hack writing number 2.
Yeah.
Shrek dies from a broken heart. He is an unstoppable Terminator who has like had bombs and bullets thrown at him. Nothing hurts. The finale scene with him is he confronts Hester and finds out like you love him in regards to her and Tom, and then instantly dies.
Did he yank his own heart out?
I don't. If he did, that is not clear.
I think he did. I want to say. I think we were both asleep at this point, but I think he was unstoppable, and the only way he was stopped was I think he like punched through his own chest and pulled out his robot heart.
What?
I think that's what
I
happened.
think
because
this was a
did
dream.
someone shoot him or?
No, I think
He was killing everyone.
Yeah, no.
And
that
then
Sean, I pray that that's what happened.
this
Because
is a
that-
Mandela effect kind of situation. We don't know.
You have to, yeah, because your brain is like, you know, like how sometimes your brain tricks you by filling in like
Yeah.
things.
This doesn't make sense. So my
Yeah.
brain will fill it in.
That's must have what happened is that your brain went, why did he die? Doesn't make sense. He must have grabbed his heart and smushed it. But I'm pretty sure from my memory is that like he just decided to like shut down somehow and he died and it was
Well, that's some Deus Ex Machina, if you will, pun intentional.
yeah. Number 3 for hack writing. The mother's name is Pandora.
Pandora.
Hester's mother.
Hester's mother's name is Pandora, who Valentine kills because she has a secret. What's the bomb's name?
Oh, the Medusa bomb.
Medusa Death Star. She has it.
Well, she has the kill switch. For it.
No, both.
Oh, that's right.
She
Okay.
discovers the actual like missing piece to make this bomb, and her name is Pandora. That's called a Pandora's box.
So, as I recall in the flashback, Hugo is like the stepdad, boyfriend,
Yeah.
like the weekend boyfriend.
He's the Gary.
Okay, so he comes in to like Scrog Mom on the weekends while Hester's like a child witnessing this bizarre, like we never know who her father is or anything,
No.
but then we do, which is like, oh, they issued this really ass backwards, and then as soon as this guy who like we understand like loves her mother,
Yes.
is like in awe of her like ability to like find all these artifacts and like, you know, all of her skill set, he's just like super hyped on her, sees that she's like uncovered this nuclear device and then is like, no, I'm willing to kill you for this thing.
It's such a turn.
And
So
hunt
bizarre.
down the girl.
Yeah, and then like
Mother.
slash the girl with a knife, and then when she runs away, hunt her down. It's like, okay, I guess he just really wants this bomb.
It's gonna make his Predator City so much cooler.
Yeah, you don't even get enough time with him to like hear his monologuing to be like, oh, this is a good reason for why he would, for instance, turn on his family and try to kill his daughter, and you know, because he needs to do this thing. Wait, does that make Hester and Catherine sisters?
They're half sisters.
Okay. I just put that
We're
together.
getting ahead of
That's-
ourselves
yeah,
into the
unnecessary.
Star Wars territory. now.
Yeah, we're getting into Star Wars. Okay. So, I just wanted, I'm like, it doesn't track.
Pandora's box.
Pandora.
Yeah, it's anti-traction storytelling.
Also, yeah, you mentioned the key. This is an invention from the film. Again, in the book, Catherine, the daughter of Valentine, sacrifices herself to stop the weapon. In this one, the mother gives young Hester a necklace. What's this necklace? Is it going to be important? Maybe. Finds out it's some sort of self-destruct code to stop the weapon.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like
What?
it's like the handbrake for the
I don't.
laser.
But it doesn't make. It doesn't make sense because from my understanding, what Pandora had was just like a piece he needed to complete
Power
his weapon. So that means Pandora knew that maybe he was making this weapon and didn't say anything before, because she decides to somehow make a code to
Right.
disassemble
The weapon
it.
that hasn't been built yet, she builds like a little, like an off switch.
USB.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also, when they do that scene, when she discovers it, it's like she discovers it for the first time. Because he's just standing there with her, and she's like, oh, what do you find? And she's like, I don't know, let me look. And then it dawns on her what she has,
Yeah.
and that's when he murders her.
Right.
So again, when did she make this self-destruct code and put it in a necklace and make a USB of it? Doesn't make any sense. All right, last one.
Yeah.
Tom. Now, this is true in both the book and film, from my understanding.
Okay.
I was so annoyed with him when they go to China. They talk to the Emperor King man. And they're like, London has the Death Star. They're going to destroy and kill everybody here. And then the China Emperor man is like, all right, well, I really don't want to do this. I'm more about peaceful resolutions, but we're going to have to defend ourselves and stop London. And then Tom throws the biggest hissy fit pout fest, where he's like, no, there's been people there.
I know those people.
I know those people. And it's like, but you're the one who, and he doesn't offer up an alternative.
No.
It's not like he's like, no, he doesn't know about the code yet. So it's one thing if he found out about the code and is like, wait, don't do that. We have a code. And the Emperor was like, too risky. We're just going to like destroy him.
Yeah.
Doesn't have that. It's just, please don't hurt them. Let them destroy you and me and everybody here. It makes zero sense.
Tom's not cut out for war. That's what it comes down to. You know, he just can't make a decision.
It was very frustrating because he doesn't, like, along the way, he's kind of like, you know in Labyrinth how Sarah's kind of a brat for, like, most of the
Yes.
movie, but, like, through teaming up and everything, she kind of, like, learns to lead the team and she kind of becomes less of a brat. Like, Tom's a brat the whole movie, and then he sees a pilot's jacket. And we were told at the beginning of the movie that he didn't want to be, or he like gave up pilot school to like do toaster repair, and all his turn of character happens in the instant that he sees this pilot jacket. When he puts it on, he becomes a pilot, capable of driving
Fang
airships.
just lets him take over.
He's never
Here you go,
driven
buddy.
before,
Yeah.
and he's good at it.
It's in your blood.
Yeah, he's like totally like, you know, Jedi Axis skill set, and like that's it. And then from there on, he like just usurps everybody's authority. He's just like, here's what we're doing: we're shooting out all the turrets for the London, and then we're gonna put the little key thing, dismantle the Medusa bombs. Like, when did you get this? You went from being like such a piece of shit to like the most assertive character.
It's like, well, I don't know if I should listen to you, but you do have a rad jacket on, so...
Man.
What brings us to Star Wars.
This is the biggest hack writing of them all.
Yeah.
The movie just becomes Star Wars at the
So,
end.
example one, Tom is basically Luke Han Solo, where, Luke wants to be a pilot too, right? Isn't that part of it? I don't know.
Yeah.
And then Han Solo is obviously a pilot.
Well, isn't Fang Han Solo?
Fang's
Yeah.
more like Han Solo.
Yeah, because she has her own ship, which I mentioned to you guys, is in every book.
She's got like
It's
the
Millennium Falcon.
tailspin.
It's, yeah, it's her Millennium Falcon. So yeah,
Okay.
she's Han Solo. This dude is Luke. But then when he puts on the jacket, there was like a choice of 4 colors, and I'm like, don't pick the Han Solo one. Don't pick the Han Solo one. And then they just like pick the Han Solo one. I was like, did you need to make it that obvious?
It did seem like they were proud of how the movie just started parodying Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like the full-on scrambling of the X-Wings and like just the cinematography for how that played out. Like Wedge driving into the Death Star and things like
God.
that. Yeah, you just are doing Star Wars. This is insane.
It was frustrating too that we spent so much time with the airships.
Yeah.
And when the movie's called Mortal Engines and promoting these city monster trucks, and we get one scene with that.
Yeah.
But all of these X fighters we have,
And the Blimp City, just hanging out up there for a good 20 minutes.
well, Lando, that's
Yeah.
Lando City,
Yeah.
Cloud City.
Yeah. Oh yeah, maybe Fang is Lando.
They're kind of a mix. Like they can't decide. So like, yeah, who's Luke and Han? Oh, that's a new character, right? We have so when she falls down the chute, that's very Star Wars.
Yeah.
The family ties, obviously. She's like the half sister.
Yeah.
But they don't really hammer in the movie. It's just like at one point, Valentine's like, "I'm your father,"
Yeah.
and then that would like there's no reaction to it.
That was another weird wink of the camera, or wink at the camera, where they're like kind of having their showdown, and he's like, "Isn't it obvious?" And like the whole audience kind of goes, "Argh." Like, you know, I visited your mom every weekend. We weren't just playing hide and seek in that bedroom. Like, we're making you, motherfucker. Like, it's so stupid that they have to just acknowledge it just as stupid as it is and be like, well, that might be your dad. Like, yeah, but she doesn't seem to care,
No.
and Catherine doesn't seem to care when they have to like defeat her dad. Like, she's cool with it too. Like,
Yeah.
he's just kind of like a bad guy, no dimensionality.
But also not scary or threatening, really. I mean, he's a guy with a big, dangerous Medusa bomb. And
apparently amazing
Somehow.
sword skills, because
Oh, yeah.
he goes toe to toe with Fang in what you'd think would just be her slaughtering him.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's injured during that scene
They
too.
both get like stabbed in the stomach or something.
Yeah, so it's like even like he's weakened.
Yeah.
And
Well, he has the whole movie. He's been stabbed by Hester
Right.
from the jump.
At the very
And he's
beginning.
fine. So maybe he got to be the
no.
mayor because he just is like unkillable.
Yeah.
But it's just like you write this character who's like, I'm a super badass. When I die, scatter my ashes on the wind. I don't give a fuck. I'm a kamikaze pilot. I will go in there. I will wreck shop. Let me at him. I'll splat him. And then she can't even hold her own sword fighting this old man.
She's thinking about if she needs to put in more bids on her eBay auctions. And
Yeah. Just really, really hack. And I can't. What happens after that? He stabs her, drops her off of the balcony thing,
Mhm.
but she's like, no, I'm not gonna die in vain because your daughter just dismantled your dumb bomb. And he's like, oh no! And then he runs out of there and like he's like, Catherine, we gotta go. And she's like, you're not my father, Todd. And then he gets in a plane. He's like, I'm gonna do this myself. Like,
Yeah, he tries to like ram into the wall once they like disable it.
so his plan is his machine is dying. He's abandoned by everyone that he cares about, and he's like, I'm gonna single-handedly smash this wall so I can what? Like, what's his plan? Just take all the resources on his shoulder?
He's just a stubborn motherfucker.
He's just a stubborn motherfucker. So dumb. The movie becomes just this like the action figure game where like nobody has a purpose or like a continuity.
So I started to try to look at like what people had said about this movie after we watched it, and
Like reviews?
yeah,
Mhm.
like not even official reviews, just like reading comments
Public
on
opinion.
internet.
Yeah.
And I saw too many people saying that it was awesome, and I just gave up. I was like, I'm not reading anymore.
Yeah.
I think I went through Reddit's reviews, and there were a lot of positive.
Yeah, I was so confused.
But, I mean, Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 28%.
Okay.
The average rating on there was 4.9 out of 10. And I was telling you guys, it seems like even like reading the Wikipedias of this book, it doesn't seem like the book is that much better. But even the book readers were like, you dicks destroyed my movie. And if like the book readers of Mortal Engines is like thinking you messed up their movie, then
You've blown it.
you really messed up.
I guess we could just keep talking about what happened in the movie, but that's kind of pointless.
Yeah.
I am kind of curious, now that we're kind of close to an hour, what are the other books about?
Right. I will try my best to go through this because, again, I took notes. So basically, the main difference between the film and the book is at the end of the book, London is completely destroyed.
Boom.
And it's just Hester and
London is
Tom.
destroyed and the people are dead?
I think so.
London Knights, Londoners.
Yeah, it like explodes.
Oh, cool.
And so through the wreckage, later in the books, through the wreckage of London, emerges a new London.
Okay.
But basically, Tom.
Wait, what?
Yeah. The books get crazy. What's crazy about the
Like
other
where
book-
it crashed, it just kind of was like
Yeah, so it's like a
people down
fallout.
below were like, I'm gonna make a new one.
It's like when you take your Legos apart and you just rebuild it.
It's crazy to me that
We'll dig our way out of this mess.
so there's 4 books, and like basically they all jump ahead, and like so all the characters in this first movie, this first book, like are gone.
What?
It's just Tom and Hester. So in book 2, Predator's Gold, it takes place 2 years after Mortal Engines. So Anchorage is a city that is setting course for North America. So we're finding out that the North America may not be as dead as we thought it was.
Oh, interesting.
Did Anchorage get dislocated from North America at some point?
It's like a floating
So-
Pangea.
Anchorage, once a thriving traction city that relied primarily upon trade. Yeah, I don't know.
The oceans dry up?
No, because remember there's ocean.
Yeah.
No.
Hey, what's happening?
Look, Anchorage is some sort of flying or movable city, and it's going to North America, which was thought to be a radioactive
Maybe it's an
wasteland.
amphibious city.
Yeah.
That would be... Well, no, there is that.
Maybe there's
We'll
skateboards.
get to that.
Okay.
So Hester is jealous of Tom's relationship with, like, the ruler of Anchorage. So there's kind of some drama
What's that
there.
relationship?
Ruler of Anchorage, I keep seeing on your text message thread, Tom.
So another part of book 2, Predator's Gold, is they find Fang's body and they turn her into a stalker.
Oh, that goes against her wishes.
Yeah.
She was very specific about what to do with her remains.
Yeah.
When Anchorage gets to North America, they find it very lush. So they were lied to. It was there's actually a part of North America that was thriving.
Are we to presume that America is where the 60-minute war detonation
It
originated?
must have been. It was like earthquakes and volcanoes
Okay.
Yeah.
and like natural disasters. So yeah, God just
Caldera.
What?
Perhaps the Yellowstone caldera.
Oh.
If we're trying to ground this in reality, that's where
Yeah.
my mind goes. But
Maybe the Bellingham windstorms.
That
Or
could
the
be it.
fucking tornado in Port Orchard.
There you go.
My hometown Port Orchard had a tornado
This week?
Yeah.
Recently?
like last week or something.
And now it's on wheels. And it's driving around.
Port Orchard is fully torqued up and it's like on big wheels.
I once convinced a friend in college that Port Orchard was a like houseboat town.
Nice.
Like it was just water and there was only houseboats, and we all got him to believe it for quite a long time. Anyways, so Fang is now a stalker. What else happens?
Did they ever explain what the, like, so that all these stalkers were like a part of this army?
I think there's a prequel series of 3 books that go into that.
Okay, so like the wars that those things were built for and
I
stuff.
think so.
Interesting.
And the book ends with Hester being pregnant.
Just being that?
Oh.
That's like the end.
The
And-
Immaculate Conception?
No, it's Tom, silly.
Tom's baby, okay.
Book 3, Infernal Devices. Now we jump 16 years after the events of Predator's Gold.
Young adult novel. The baby's 16 years old.
Exactly.
We got a new hero.
See, that's what's weird is that the books change characters and perspective so much. It seems like it would be really strange
That
to
would be
read.
a cool thing to do if you had strong, interesting, diverse characters, but
Well,
get out.
basically, they have a kid, a teenage daughter named Ren, Rwen.
Ren.
Excuse
Ren,
me?
yeah.
Kylo Ren?
It's Kylo Ren. The Lost Boys from book 2, who are from a sunken city, are looking for the 10 book, which contains activation codes for the final remaining like orbital weapons.
Ooh, the
So
orbital
basic-
weapons. Now we're gonna have a space war.
So basically, this is Force
Star
Awakens.
Wars?
This is Force Awakens because they make a bigger, badder Death Star. The stalker Shrek, who was after Hester in the first book, is reconstructed
What does
back
that
from
mean?
the dead.
What does that mean? They
Re-
found his body and brought him back?
Yep.
Okay.
Like by the good guys or the bad guys?
I think from a bad guy.
Okay.
Because the person brings back Shrek to take out Cyborg Fang.
What?
Okay, so it's like a Superman versus Doomsday scenario.
Yeah.
Can I side note something really
Yes.
quick? So there's all these flashbacks of Shrek and Hester in his little bunker
Mm-hmm.
where he's got all these broken toys and they narrate
Yep.
that he has this
Yeah.
fascination with like assembling things and he's kind of like the toy maker in Blade Runner or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep cutting to a very like art directedly, decisively funny looking picture of a baby and a man.
Yes.
Mhm.
Do you remember? Like the baby kind
Yeah.
of looks malformed a little bit,
Yeah.
and the man kind of looks kind of goofy.
Uh-huh.
I thought that, and I know they were trying to kind of like goo the lens to be like, well, who is that? Like,
Yeah.
so you don't know or whatever. I thought they were trying to say that that Shrek was the baby. Because the baby's very prominent and in red in the photo, and it's like
Yeah.
it's trying to imprint the baby, not the man who's holding
Yeah.
the baby.
No, I think that's the void in his heart. You know,
That
he
he-
used to have a baby
kid died, okay.
that lived with
But he
him
remembers it.
into his
I
death.
remember
That
you.
makes way more sense.
I remember you saying that, but we were like discussing so much I didn't even have time to like get
In
there.
my fanfic
Yeah,
here.
but I loved that that was your interpretation.
Okay, so then here was where my mind went for that character, and maybe why I was kind of like into how he died and that whole scene. I was kind of like, oh, this is kind of funny. Is I thought he was trying to preserve Hester to be his mom because he just wanted to be a little baby man.
He's like the one playing with all the
He was
toys.
just
Yeah.
on a quest to get his mom back.
She's just a giant cyborg man child
Yeah.
who's like, I just want to be a kid. Will you be my
Yeah,
mommy?
That's why he throws those temper tantrums.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, that's kind of clever because like what a like behind this like absolute like mechanized machismo is
Yeah.
like a guy who's like just will destroy anything to get his mom back. But, like,
That's so
that's not
good.
what it was.
Instead of Hester, he's just yelling, "Mommy,
Yeah.
mommy."
Oh man.
Okay, back to book 3, the Infernal Devices.
He's brought back to fight Fang.
Yes,
That's
yes.
where we left off.
And Fang finds the book and memorizes the codes. And then Zero, who is the creator who brought back Shrek, commands him to kill Fang, and he does. Because Fang will kill thousands with the codes.
Okay.
And she's scattered across the coastline of Africa. And suddenly, Shrek remembers Hester. And then Shrek finds Hester's body, who was in some big war, and he takes her body, and they go into the Sahara Desert together.
Okay.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah, he fucks the body. That's not a cliffhanger.
And then one of the lost boys, who is from the sunken city, Fishcake, encounters
Fishcake.
the remains of the cyborg Fang's body and rebuilds her.
She was scattered all up the coast.
Yeah, he got them all. It was like the Iron Giant. Collect them all. All right, book 4, the finale to this epic series, The Hungry City Chronicles, A Darkling Plain.
Darkling.
Darkling Duck.
What is that? What does a Darkling Plain mean?
Sounds bad. I'll tell you
All
that.
these titles are awful.
It sounds really bad.
So this is 6 months after the events
Sounds like
of Infernal
something
Devices.
Great grandma would say.
Yeah. Also, listeners, if this is boring to you, I'm sorry, but I did a lot of research, so I'm gonna just spew it.
Yeah, you deserve this.
I was just so curious after watching this movie. I was like, what is this book series? Where does it go? 'Cause
Yeah.
It's such a crazy premise.
Because it leaves behind its cool premise immediately.
Yeah. And it seems like in the books, too, there's not a lot of city eating going on either.
Yeah.
So I don't even know why that's your premise when you obviously wanted to tell some other weird
It's
stories.
just amalgamation of all your favorite fantasy films.
So Hester and Shrek are together, and he's unable to kill something because of his creator's tampering. So they're going to go find the creator of him to, like, get rid of this.
Turn him into a kill master.
I guess. Yeah, I don't know why Hester is down with this plan, but yeah, we got to get Shrek killing him. Tom and his daughter discover that there are survivors of Medusa, and they have rebuilt a new London in its ashes.
Good God.
Is it a criminal that they didn't use London Calling as the trailer's like emo theme cover?
They shouldn't, yeah. Well, they probably don't even know that song. Lost opportunity. So it gets better. New London has no wheels. They have invented magnetic levitation so it can float above the ground.
And the run of water? Yes, you got power!
And the explanation is so it's less harmful to the environment.
Alright.
Oh, so it's an environmentalist city.
That's what, again, Sean, like your complaint about the first film is like, what's his message with like these cities and how it happened? It's not even like this, where it's like, is it like an environmental message or?
No, it's nothing. It's none of the above. Which kind of makes it amazing that it doesn't like just fall down the stairs and land on its head. It like lands everywhere else.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, but is it like one of those things where it's like, rather than like going hard in one direction, like, yeah, this environmental movie, it decides to go like attach its flag to no one?
I guess, but
It seems like the cowardly way to go about it.
it does. It would be so easy to be like, you know, just putting in these little fortune cookie like little things of like, you know, Easter eggs of like, oh, well, maybe I can read into this scene a little bit more and like go down that rabbit hole. But it's not. It's too stick and move to even have
And
these,
everything was just like, we're gonna smash you in the face with what's happening here. We're gonna show you what happened, but then we're gonna be like, and this is what happened again.
Just
Don't
to
forget.
reiterate.
Here's what everybody's thinking.
Mm-hmm.
There's no ambiguity.
Yeah.
It's-
Subtlety is out the window.
Pandora's box.
Yeah.
Get it? USA Medusa.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that because one of them said USA
Yeah.
and the other one said Med, and so when they put it together,
USA.
that was so dumb. Okay, so we're back with the Stalker Fang, who has been rebuilt. Now she has split personalities where one of her sides is the caring human side of her and the other side is the killing cyborg
So
part
like
of her.
Shrek.
Yeah.
Same dichotomy. Is that just a function of these killing machines as they all remember their childhood and have a longing for like connection and compassion and empathy?
Yeah. So they find the the orbital defense initiative is what they're calling the weapon in the sky, and they codename it Odin.
Oh, I was hoping it was going to be ODB.
So it's fired upon Manchester and other cities by Fang. One of the places she targets is a volcano.
Why not?
More volcano.
Hey.
What's her
Why not?
motivation? What's the Fang robot's motivation? Do we know?
Motivation sounds like too many syllables
That's
for this
true,
word for
yeah.
this movie to understand.
There's like a whole subplot, it seems like. Basically, Fang is trying to destroy everyone so humanity can be wiped out and that the Earth can go back to like its green nature self.
Ferngully. She wants Ferngully.
She wants Ferngully
Okay.
is her motivation.
As a robot zombie.
Yeah.
As a robot zombie, yeah, right?
These machines have great connection to ecology.
So Hester meets up with her and convinces the good side of it to like self-destruct the weapon. And Fang is killed before she knows what happens. And Hester realizes that she did order Odin to destroy itself. So see, the good side won out.
Unless you're Odin. I mean, jeez.
So Tom and Hester are on Odin that's about to be destroyed, and then Fishcake decides to leave them behind as revenge for them leaving him on some other city. So Hester and Tom end up dying in the last spoilers in the last book,
Fish cake!
with Tom dying first and then Hester committing suicide shortly
Wait,
after.
Isn't Odin exploding?
Yeah.
So that seemed unnecessary.
See, this one, Romeo and Juliet.
I guess.
Apparently, Mortal Engines is a Shakespeare reference, so this guy's just borrowing.
From Othello,
Yeah, all over the
That's
place.
Dumb. That's dumb. This is dumb. I just decided that Mortal Engines is dumb.
Okay, and here's the last part of the book. So kind of a wrap up. New London thrives. Shrek finds Tom and Hester's bodies and considers turning them into robots, but decides against it because they're holding hands together.
So they would not make good robots?
Because they were in love, Sean, and that's his one weakness, remember?
That's what robots do. They love. Robots dig down deep and have
If I know anything about robots, it's that they always love.
Yeah, remember the Killbots in Chopping Mall? They love their job.
Then Shrek remembers his 2 lost children. So in the book, he has 2 children, I guess.
Confusing.
And then he sits down in front of Hester and Tom and just like turns off, like goes into hibernation. And during this time, their bodies decompose. A tree grows out of them.
Sure, why not?
And so thousands of years have now gone by with the robot in this self-destruct mode, and then he wakes
Noel's
up.
face right now. He's so taxed by this.
No, it gets better. The finale of this book is incredible. I kind of just want to read this. Shrek discovers that a whole forest has grown around him. And then a boy and a girl come and take him to the village, and he finds out that everyone thought he was some sort of old shrine, like the Minions, I guess, and that they were hanging flowers on him for luck. Then he finds out that the village was using the anti-gravity hover technology that New London invented. And that was like a savior for the city, I guess. When he talks about the Mortal Engine like wars, the people are like, "Oh, I thought those were just fairy tales." And the idea is like ridiculous.
There's the first bit of author commentary.
As his last like drop the mic.
Yeah.
And so then the people ask like, "Well, who are you? Like, what are you?" And he says he's a remembering machine. And they go, "Well, tell us your story." And then he speaks. So the ending of the book is him speaking the first lines of Mortal Engines.
Oh man.
So it all begins again.
Comes for a full circle.
Full circle.
Full circle jerk.
So that was all of the Hungry City Chronicles.
Hungry Hippo City Chronicles.
Yeah, spoiler
Now,
alerts.
now we know why Peter Jackson was so hungry to get these properties.
Gotta tell this story.
Can you imagine them trying to make these 4 books into a movie?
Well, not after losing $100 million.
No, but
But even if the same Mortal Engines was successful, how do you turn those books, especially since they jump so far ahead,
yeah.
and there's brand new characters?
So having not been an avid follower of Hunger Games and Harry Potter, which these are the other Scholastic book series that are just like the pinnacle ones. Those do have a very continuous storyline.
Hunger Games is a great example because it's like her like living a simple life. I mean, not simple. She's being like tortured and it's awful. But she's, just trying to survive, to her being risen up into like this national like figurehead for the rebellion that she does not want. And then it's like following her as she has to like take down the establishment, which has been like established in book 1. So like book 1, 2, and 3, they're fast paced and it's like a clear like, I know who these people are. Let's get it. Reading, again, if you've read these books, I probably like butchered it. This is like the ultimate game of telephone, me like delivering the Wikipedia notes of what happened. But the storyline in these books is so all over the place.
Yeah.
And doesn't seem to have like a through line.
But it seems to be very proud of that. Like, this is how we're gonna buck the trend. Like,
but then it ends with it starting from the beginning.
It's just an endless cycle, man. Every story tells a picture. So says Rod Stewart. I don't like it.
I have to pee so bad.
Uh-oh.
I thought we could wrap up, but I want to piss myself. You guys keep talking.
Sure. If they made a Netflix series about this, or like some kind of like series of YouTube, I don't know how this could like. It would be it'd be just as silly as like Walking Dead, just like this endless like just trot through the void for no good reason.
The whole thing, the movie felt like it was like created by committee. Like there were so many elements of just like really obvious pandering to the audience that it had to be like every single thing was being debated by like 12 people, of whom like maybe 3 of them were good at like coming up with ideas.
Do you think this author, whatever the fuck his name is, like he's got a bunch of kids and he's just like, all right kids, I'm gonna tell you a bedtime story. What should it be about? Robot cities! Okay, cool. And who should be the main character? A Scarface! And then what should they do?
Robots, no zombies!
I saw Terminator this morning!
Robots and zombies.
Yeah, how about robots? Everybody gets what they want. And just tethered together like a Lady in the Water scenario. And he's like, yeah, this is, you get what you get. When you source your creativity from zombie children, this is the entertainment you deserve. it's the whole thing is a commentary on crowdfunding and group sourcing art, which is it's not going to pan out for us, I think is what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Figured it out. Did
agree.
you wash your hands?
I did very quickly.
You gotta sing happy birthday while you wash your hands.
Oh no, I did not do that part. I did the quick version.
To you. Do you remember that from Community? Why did they just say to you?
Okay, lastly, what could save this movie? Peter Jackson couldn't do it.
Man, well,
Is there anything that could have made this movie work?
If it was animated and not live action,
I think we mentioned
maybe
that.
it could have been like less annoying in the sense of just the absurdity of what was happening in front of you. Just like
if it was like a
cheesy in some parts.
Miyazaki anime or something, where you could kind of lean into the steampunkiness of just like the atmosphere and kind of have this ethereal plot and these very basic characters, but like very cutesy score and design to kind of tie it all together. Yeah, I could see it being like
It needs to be reworked because even
I don't know about that.
well, even the book, in the sense that I wanted more Mad Max than I did Star Wars.
Yes.
And even in the book, there wasn't a lot of city hunting. And I think that's what it should have been. At least what I would have wanted, with like each country kind of having its own theme and strategy and how it maneuvers and weapons.
Yeah.
That would have been so interesting to see like them going at each other. Like
Just RoboJocks with cities. Yeah.
yeah, like Risk.
Yeah.
Like a really like Risk 2000 or something.
But then how do you tie in the YA element? Because that's the thing is like
Yeah.
with this premise, you're kind of like, oh, that's just a fun social commentary movie. That could be a cool dystopian like Black Mirror's episode or whatever. But to satisfy this like teenage coming of age, what's the other one? Detritus or Defiant? What's the other YA series that tanked and they only did two?
Divergent.
Divergent. Yeah.
And the Maze Runner.
Yeah.
All these movies,
Yeah.
they're just not catching.
The and what was the other one with the that just came out and tanked? It was like much smaller budget. It was the kids had superpowers.
Is that the house with the clocks in the wall?
No, not that. Not R.L. Stein YA, but like one step up, where it was like kind of an X-Men.
A Wrinkle in
I
Time?
saw
Oh.
the trailer for that, but I don't
Yeah.
know
What the fuck
what
is
it's
this
called.
movie? New Mutants?
It's like a New Mutants
basically,
kind of
yeah.
thing. It was just like, oh, we're kids who all have these superpowers, and we got to kind of keep it on the down low. And they made it up for a much lower budget. It was kind of like Kin level budget.
Okay.
And then this kind of uprising occurs or whatever, and it's like, okay, that's cool because it's like you've got the built-in X-Men puberty analogy, great, fun. But like with this one, it's like, okay, I don't know how to tie in like municipality and like like adult politics and like emperoring and stuff like that to like high school kid shit.
Here's my pitch, and maybe some of it will touch upon that. One, I feel like it needs a more clear message, and I think Tom and Hester can kind of like capture what that message is. But I was thinking, okay, you have China and their wall, right? And they're refusing to let anyone in. And maybe they've tried to let people in before, but that either they betrayed them or, something happened bad where they're like, fuck that. This is the last of humanity. Like, this is a matter of, like, survival of all humans. We gotta play it safe. Nobody's in. We'll let the other cities play Twisted Metal until, like, that calms down. And then you have some sympathy, too, for, like, London and the other cities, because they're struggling to survive. And so, and you understand, like, why they want the wall down a little more. So no one's really a good guy. No one's really the bad guy. And I think our heroes, Tom and Hester, are the ones who are like, fuck this. I don't like China's way. I don't like London's way. Whatever we come up with, it needs to be something new. So maybe Hester at first is still like kind of the badass who's like, fuck it, let them destroy each other.
Yeah.
And like Tom is still kind of like the more idealistic, naive, like, no, we can make this work. Like we need to survive.
I got
this.
I got this.
Yeah, go for it.
I mean, that's all great groundwork. And there's just I'm just gonna slam alley-oop this.
Yeah.
So we have many more mechanized cities, and we kind of tell the story in like a slice of life kind of thing where it's like, what's going on in Hester's town? What's going on in Tom's town? What's going on in these other teen side characters' towns? The youth is represented as our inroad to each city. So you get to see how like each city functions economically and everything politically through the teen eyes, which is kind of fun because they can kind of have their own punk rock like aesthetic towards being anti-establishment because they're young. And it's kind of like they're never going to converge. But then when the battles start occurring and the cities get taken over and eaten, then they are adopted into each other's cities. And eventually they're all in the same city.
Well, and then we got like a Misfits toy sort of situation going on.
And then all these kids kind of get together miraculously through their anti-establishmentness and their non-nationalistic ties to be like, we got to find this other way. Well, the thing is it's been so many hundreds of years, and the thing that they kind of dropped the ball on is this concept of like, we don't preserve history well.
Yes.
So this concept if there was ever any like anti-tractioning is like, no, everybody thinks like it's been propagated by this like conspiracy, like we've always been these roving cities. There was never any terraforming or whatever.
Like in book 4 where the guy's like, oh, I thought that was all fairy tales.
Yeah, exactly. But then the fairy tale is like, no, it's like we keep it under wraps that there was ever like that there was water, there was fresh water, and there was the ability to farm and agriculture, anything like that. And these kids kind of like then have to like crack the system to be like, oh, we can just go out into this wasteland that's actually not a wasteland. It's totally inhabitable. And then they go out and like the end is that they kind of forge their own society away from these things as they like drive away. They kind of like learn to plant a tree or something.
Yeah.
So it gets back to primitivism and whatever, and like more tribal kind of egalitarianism or whatever, and away from these like consuming.
We don't want to live in this city anymore. We want to be farmers.
Yeah.
Well, and then even in the end, you could have them still going off, like say Hester or some of our team survives, and they're like, you know where we need to go? America. Bam. Sequel.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, I saw America was destroyed. They're gonna...
America.
Yeah, I love that. I wanted to rework the Terminator story because I feel like that character had potential, and he was definitely kind of like a more interesting part of the movie.
Yeah.
Even though it was really weird to have him in there, but I feel like he could work. One, the promise is dumb that she agreed to do this, and like that's his main reason for wanting to kill her, because you broke my promise. So he brings her in when she's young, and his mission, because his dumb robot mind is like, well, I need to protect her. I need to protect her, and I will go, no matter the cost, I will protect her. And so when she runs away and she makes these other friends, he confuses this like, no, these people are dangerous. Like, I need to protect you no matter what. So he's like still coming after her, and he's like trying to kill even the good people she's with, because he's like, well, no, that's my job. I'm the one protector.
He's like a helicopter parent who's actually shooting people out of a helicopter.
Yeah. And that can kind of tie in with his kid story where like he failed to protect his child, and now he's like machine-like and like, I will protect at all costs. And you can have like a similar like ending finale with him where there's like some sort of self-sacrifice or something.
Wait, why doesn't he just snatch her up and take her somewhere all along? Why is he like coming in out of the bushes to like protect her?
I think she's running away from him. Because she's like, I got these friends.
So it's Terminator.
Yeah. I don't need protection anymore. Like, at first I was like you when I was like, my mom was died and I had a very bleak, view of the world.
Yeah.
But now I've made some friends. Get off my back.
Yeah. Leave me alone, Mom.
Yeah. Something like that. Something that's not, you broke your promise that I could turn you into a robot person.
Now I must kill you. I was just looking at text messages from the other night when I was checking to see if we were on for this movie. It's popped into my head. I was like, so are we on for the 9:05 showing? And you said, does a choo-choo train city steamroll the post-apocalyptic wasteland?
No, it does
It does
not.
not actually. Doesn't actually do that.
Oh, I'm disappointed in us that we didn't cosplay for the opening night. We should have. Should have dressed up as our favorite city and been on roller skates. That's what it is. It's a roller skate movie. It's just a roller skate tournament where everyone's from a different city, and so they have a little sash that's just like Seattle or whatever, and then it's just a Rat Fink roller skate movie.
Yeah, it should have been a roller derby movie.
There.
In the trailer, we did Home Alone it, and I feel like it's still probably the best idea, where monsters were attacking the cities, and so that's why they became on wheels to get away from the
The
monsters,
Tremors. Yeah.
and then to eventually like hunt the monsters.
Better movie.
It's a better movie. Check out that episode. All right, do we have any final thoughts? I mean, thank you if you stuck around for this.
Yeah, pretty unnecessary episode, but it's a really weird movie. There's
It's
a lot to
a
unpack.
weird movie. It was fun to experience and then to, I think, dive into this whole world. Because it's not just a movie. Like, sometimes you see a bad movie and you go, like Sherlock Holmes movie, the Holmes and Watson that's out now, has like a 2% rating. Even Netflix didn't want it. Like, this bombed. Like, that's a bad movie. We all know it's a bad movie. Like, end of story.
Yeah.
But Mortal Engines, it's Peter Jackson. It's so much history with the books and everything else that it's like there's so much attached to this world that I want to dive in.
Well, I'll say this. I Spider-Versed and I Aquaman'd this week. And maybe we'll talk about Spider-Verse another time. But if you were going to the movies this weekend and you were like, Mortal Engines or Aquaman, I would say go see Mortal Engines.
Well, the people spoke because I believe Mortal Engines opened with that Spider-Man movie.
Oh, yeah.
And like,
Bad call.
bad call, because
Yeah.
even,
But just like on account of like both are bad movies, but with Aquaman, you're just like, really, I don't need anything I'm seeing here. Like, there's nothing that you couldn't glean from the trailer. And with Mortal Engines, it's so not what you get from the trailer that you're kind of just going to be potentially more entertained by the like what the fuck moments.
Yeah. There was a lot of laughing at the things that
Oh yeah.
were not intended to be funny in the movie.
Yeah. And when something costs that much money and ends up being a joke on itself, or like you laugh at it, it's kind of like it's kind of a Room scenario. Like you only get those every couple years where someone works really hard on something and you laugh at it, and that's very entertaining when it's unironic and unintentional.
Although it's yes, but I would also be hard to recommend this movie as even a bad movie to go see. You know what?
Boring movie.
Because it's just boring.
Yeah.
And they don't make good on the spectacular scenes that you get from the trailer. It's not that the whole way through. It's like
the first
over
15
within
minutes.
the first 10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
If
but-
the whole movie again was the first 15 minutes, it would have been bad, but it would have been like
Exciting.
exciting bad car watch, or like car crash. I need to look at this bad.
Yeah.
But this, like with the political stuff and so many storylines that you don't care about, it's just like
Weird, half-hearted jokes scattered everywhere.
Yeah, it's not cult movie status bad, but it is kind of funny how it's not what they sold you, and it's just kind of sometimes it's fun to like chew on a burger and be like, oh, there's rat turds in this. Oh my god! Like, your disappointment level is the entertainment is worth the price of admission.
it's almost like they tricked us, the audience. And you almost have to chuckle and be like, well, yep, you got me.
my money.
You got me. I was an idiot, and you got me. But good on you, because I did not see that coming.
But my caveat being, like, do you want another Aquaman, or do you want one of these sequel movies to come out, because they sound way more interesting
Yeah.
than another Aquaman, or Venom, or Spider-Verse. All right.
Noel, any final thoughts?
Oh, let's see. There was so many different things that were just confounding throughout the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was exhausting. I definitely, at about probably a half hour towards the end, I caught myself kind of like falling asleep.
You talking about this
like
conversation or the movie?
the movie. I've been awake here the whole time.
Yeah, that's what you said.
I do want to say, yeah, also people listening to this episode, us going long and just droning on about the books and this way too old movie now to be talking about. Like, that's just like a meta commentary on the film itself.
Maybe you should use this episode as a, like, Wizard People, Dear Readers, kind of like alternative commentary to when the movie comes out on DVD.
Just turn it on. Just
Yeah.
play this episode
audio. Watch the movie.
during the 2-hour movie.
See what syncs up.
It's very Dark Side of the Moon.
See if I'm eating a cookie while one of the characters is mumbling, and that like syncs up really well.
It's when they're eating the Trinkie, you're eating the cookie. It's like, oh shit!
Wow, they planned that. It's really good.
The eBay joke probably lines up right about with when they make the eBay joke.
Yeah, probably.
We talked about it.
Yeah, and you probably took a pee right when the robot died.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you might as well just take a bathroom break during that scene. All right, well, let's do a final rating of the film. Noel, you gave it In Space with Zombies, middle of the road. So did I. Sean, you gave the trailer I Love Robots. What about the film?
I'm unchanged. I still love robots, but I say see it over Aquaman.
I love robots, but not robot zombies.
And I'm with you. I'm bumping it down. I Love Robots. It disappointed me.
Yeah.
The trailer tricked me into thinking at least I'll get Waterworld, Battlefield Earth, and I got... What did I get?
I don't even know. Like, if you took a couple of, like, big budget movies from the past 5 years and just threw them against a wall,
Yeah.
and then just kind of, like, picked up some of the pieces without really looking, and just threw them into a bucket, and then, like, just came to the movie theater and, like, threw that bucket in someone's face.
That was
That's
the
kind of
premiere.
what happened.
It's just a Gallagher set. Just chunks of watermelon flying at you.
Well, before we wrap up, for those of you who survived this, here's a sneak peek. Sean and I are going to be starting season 2 of Movie Babies.
Hopefully. Well,
It's in
if
the
we
works.
say it, you have to hold us to it when you see us on the street.
Yeah.
You're like, where's that season 2?
Season 2, new segments, new
Characters.
The Muppets went from animated to CGI.
Mhm. We're gonna have our little animated little baby cousin come in and provide commentary as a character who's going to entice new, younger listenership.
Lots of ideas, much like Mortal Engine. Will we
Very little follow through.
will we find a similar fate?
Yeah, probably.
We don't know.
Movie Baby Engine.
You can find all Movie Baby stuff at our website, moviebabies.com.
Thanks to Noel for our guest and the Happy Place as our setting.
Happy to be here.
Oh.
That's even better.
And Noel and Sean, when you don't have time for a 2-hour and 8-minute movie, because that's the Movie Babies.